Today I'll be showing you how to crochet these fancy keychain wristlets. It's basically a strip of crochet that we will then attach to the D-ring. And because of the puff stitches and done at an angle on this row and a different angle on this row, you end up with a very fancy looking textured stitch that works great if you want to do it in two colors like this or just in the one color like this. So let me show you how to crochet this. So here I've just finished row 1 of this strap. So all that is I chained 47 and then I skipped the first chain and I did a single crochet in each chain all the way across. So there we have 46 single crochets going across. So that's just the first row of this strap, which you can see down here. That's just that first row. Now next we're going to do a row that has these little puff stitches, and that's where the real texture comes in. So let me show you that row. So first you're going to turn and chain 1. And then now in this first stitch right here, I'm going to work a little set of stitches, which is a single crochet, a chain 2, and a puff stitch. So here's your single crochet, just a regular single crochet, chain 2, and here's a puff stitch. So a puff stitch is kind of like doing a bunch of half double crochets but not finishing them through. So you're going to kind of do like 3 of those. So let me show you exactly. So it's a yarn over, insert your hook, pull the yarn through, and you pull it through and make it a tiny bit big, just like that. Yarn over, insert hook, pull yarn through. And so you'll see this is my second set, and I'm trying to keep them all kind of evenly the same size. And one more. Yarn over, insert hook, pull the yarn through. And so right here I take a moment and I make sure they all look even and some aren't sticking out or some are tighter. Excuse me, because that'll give you the best looking puff stitch. So now you need to yarn over and pull through all 7 loops on the hook to finish up your puff stitch. So yarn over. So I'm pivoting my hook and gently pulling through all 7. Sometimes I only get through the first 6 and then I do that last one. And that is a puff stitch. So that's your set of single crochet, chain 2, puff stitch. So between the sets of these, we're going to be doing chain 1. So that also effectively helps close the puff. So here's the chain 1. Now I'm going to do another set of single crochet, chain 2, puff, but after I skip 2 stitches. So I'm skipping 1, skipping 2. So in this third stitch, it's going to be the single crochet, chain 2, and the puff stitch. So yarn over, insert hook, pull the loop through, yarn over, insert hook, pull the loop through 3 times. So this is the last. Pull the loop through, 7 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through all 7. Chain 1 between these sets. Skip 2 stitches, another set. So the single crochet, the chain 2, and then the puff. 2, third part of the puff, yarn over, pull through all 7. Chain 1 between sets. Skip 2 stitches, single crochet, chain 2, and I would like to show you a little bit of how I keep the puff stitches looking neat like this, because if I go too fast, what I find happening is that some of the yarn over and pull loops through on the puff stitches end up being bigger than some of the others, and then I feel it doesn't look as neat. So I try to keep things kind of tight. So let me show you how I do it with talking you through some of that. So I do yarn over, insert the hook, and pull the loop through. And then I kind of keep things a bit taut. And that's about the height I like to have it at. So you'll see I kind of elongated that pull through at the end. So I'm going to do that 2 more times, right? So I'm going to try to keep it all that same distance away from the stitch. Yarn over, insert the hook, pull the yarn through, and go like that. Kind of keep things looking even. Yarn over, insert hook, pull the loop through, and I do this adjustment like I was just showing, like this, to make sure these all look very even, and then I'm ready to close up the puff. Yarn over, pull through all 7. So that's some tips on how to keep it looking neater. And then chain 1 to close. So skip 2 stitches and do another set, single crochet, chain 2, and another puff. 1, 2, 3 segments, yarn over, pull through first 6, get that last 7th, chain 1. Now we're going to do that all the way across to the end, so I'll show you the very end of this row too. So now you've done all these sets of single crochet, chain 2, puff stitches all the way across the row, and now you're at the very end of the row. So you're just gonna, I had just chained 1 after a puff stitch. I'm going to skip the last 2 stitches here, and then the very last stitch I'm going to do a single crochet, and that'll finish off this row number 2. So if you're going to do 2 different colors, like with this one, this is where you would switch colors. But in this example, I'm just going to keep going now with the same color. So now on to row 3. So you start row 3 by chaining 3. So here, I'll go ahead and turn. So now to get this row going, we're going to do a slightly smaller puff stitch, just because I found that it looks a little nicer on the finished item. So that's the full puff stitch that we did on the last row. A smaller one just means to do this. So the yarn over, insert hook, it's in that first stitch, pull the loop through, yarn over, insert hook, pull the loop through, and just stop here and do it with 5 stitches on the hook instead of the 7. So that's a smaller puff. So go through all 5, chain 1. Now we're going to do these same sets of single crochet, chain 2, puff, but we're going to go across and do it in these chain 2 spaces all the way across. So here's an example. Single crochet into that big space, the chain 2 space, chain 2, and do the full puff stitch like we did on the last round. So yarn over, pull loop through, so that's 1, 2, 3 times. So now you have 7 on the hook, yarn over, pull through all 7, chain 1. So that's your first set of single crochet, chain 2, puff. So we're going to do it again now in the next chain 2 space. So you're skipping over that single crochet, you're skipping over that puff, because the chain 2 space is right here. So single crochet, chain 2, and another puff. Yarn over through all 7. That closes, finishes up the puff. Chain 1 to close and move on to the next set. So the next chain 2 space is over here. Single crochet, chain 2, and a puff. Okay, so these little sets, now we're going to do them all the way across in all the chain 2 spaces that you see. So it's kind of the top of each of these scallops. So I'll do it and I'll show you how to finish up this row as well. So this is about to be the end of row 3. So I did all the sets of single crochet, chain 2, puffs all the way across, but in this very last chain 2 space, I'm going to do the single crochet, the chain 2, but a smaller puff, just so it looks a little better at these ends. So the yarn over, insert hook, pull through, yarn over, insert hook, and pull through, but only do 2 sets of that. So I have the 5 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through all 5, and we're done. So now we have just one last row to mirror this nice single crochet edging. We're going to do one more row along the top here of just single crochets. So I'm going to chain 1 and turn. So this is row 4. So now we're going to do single crochets all the way across. So I'm going to skip this first puff stitch and do 2 single crochets in this chain 2 space. So 1, 2, oops, and then I'm going to do a single crochet in this next stitch, which is a single crochet from the last row. Okay, so that's the first 3 single crochets along this top row. So to keep repeating, 2 in each chain 2 space, 1 in each single crochet. So you are skipping the puff stitches. You're not working anything on top of those. So 1, 2 in this space, chain 2 space, and then 1 on top of the single crochet. 1, 2 in the chain 2 space, and 1 on top of the single crochet. And do that all the way across to the end. So let me do that and I'll show you how to end this row. So now I've single crocheted all the way across, except at the very end I just did a single crochet in that stitch right there, which is a single crochet from the last row, and then I'm going to do one final one in the chain 3 space at the very end. And that is what finishes off row 4 of the strap. So now you're going to rotate the whole strap like that, just clockwise, because you need to work across this short side edge, because we're going to create a little flap that's going to go around and attach to the D-ring. So this is how you do that. You're going to chain 1, and we're going to work 5 single crochets across this edge as evenly as possible. So just kind of looking at it, I like to do the first one kind of right on top of this single crochet that I just did to kind of create the corner. So that's my 1. Number 2, I'm going to do in that big space. Number 3, I want kind of in the middle. So I think I'll do it there. 2 more. 4. And then number 5, I want to catch the corner so that it looks neat. So something like that. So if that looks good to you, that's the first row of this. And you're going to chain 1 and do 3 more rows of the 5 single crochets. So just 1 single crochet in each stitch across, 2, 3, 4, 5, chain 1 2 more times. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, last row, chain 1, 5, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so this is the little flap that's going to go around the D-ring. But before we can attach it to make it look neat like that, we have to form this into a loop with the D-ring inside. So here you kind of have to decide what is considered your outside versus your inside, which is not a big deal, but this is kind of what I did for the way this one looks. This would be my outside, meaning the right side of the wrist strap when I'm done. So I'm going to put the D-ring on, but backwards. Wait, let me think about this. Yeah. So I want it in there. So this is the right side of my strap, so I'm going to put the D-ring in like that for now. I'm going to join this into a loop by slip stitching. So I haven't cut the yarn yet. I'm going to turn this around and I'm going to do 5 slip stitches across these 2 edges in order to basically sew or join this. So I'm going to insert my hook into that first stitch and then find the corner here, and I like to go through and grab 2 strands of yarn. So use the hook. Yeah, use the hook. So yeah, I was able to get under two strands there. So do a slip stitch. I'm getting caught in something here. Okay, that's the idea. Let me do that more cleanly. That didn't quite work. Okay, so maybe I'll go through those 2. Yeah. So there's 1 slip stitch. Okay, now go into the second stitch. Similarly go in there. Okay, slip those 2 together. Third. Kind of find the middle-ish. It's not crazy important. You just want it to be nice and secure. I'm going to try to get under it. Oh, no, I'm not. Okay. I'll get in there. Pull through that. Pull through my stitch. Complete the slip stitch. 2 more. So slip stitch here. And then the 5th stitch, I'd like to hit the corner. So slip stitch there. So one thing after I do something like this is I'll also just look. If that looks pretty neat, which it does to me, then I'm good to go. So I am going to cut the yarn, but I'm going to leave a little bit of a tail. Okay, so fasten off. So hopefully I did the D-ring correctly, because now I'm going to inside out my strap. The D part is now going to probably go the other way. It's going to go under the rows of single crochet here. So that part's going to get folded over. Okay, so now I'm going to take a yarn needle and the longer tail that I just left, I'll thread it into this. And I'm going to secure the D-ring by doing some stitches along here. Just some regular sewing stitches. You can do a back stitch or whatever you feel like. Probably start at the edges is what I tend to do to make those look neater, and then go through both layers and sew through to the other end and secure it here as well. And then your D-ring will be attached. And then you have one other loose end to weave in as well, and you'll be all good.